Welcome to Universe of Love and Anime, where heartfelt love stories come alive. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to spread love and hope. Thank you for joining us now. Let's dive into today's touching story. Growing Heart Chapter 1. The reunion the year Agustín died was the year I loved him the most. Everyone expected me to collapse, to break down completely. But I didn't cry, I didn't scream, I simply carried on. And then, 2 years later, I saw him again. In a private room, surrounded by friends, Agustín was there, very much alive, holding a girl in his arms and kissing her tenderly. His friends rushed toward me, desperate to explain what they thought would ease the shock. They said Agustín had been in a terrible accident that left him in a vegetative state. They claimed he had only recently woken up and lost all his memories. They thought they were protecting me by hiding it all, so I wouldn't live in constant fear and worry. Agustín gently pushed the girl aside and approached me, a faint frown on his face. "I've been told you're my fiancé, though I don't remember," he said calmly. "Since you seem to still love me, I'll honor my promise and marry you." I smiled slightly and replied, "They lied to you. We don't know each other." What Agustín didn't realize was that the very day he faked his death, I received a video. In it, he laughed while telling someone, "Just thinking that after marriage, I'd only have Celestini, can't stand it. I'll pretend to be dead for a few years. Comfort her well, make sure she doesn't go crazy." What he didn't know was that during those 2 years of his disappearance, I met someone else. For a brief moment, his friends froze. Then one by one, they tried to persuade me. "Celestine, how can you say you don't know him? We were the ones who hid it from you. It's not his fault. We only did it to protect you. Now that he's awake, please give him a chance." Their words piled up around me like a storm before I could even speak. Then, a dry laugh cut through the noise. Agustín stood up from the couch, holding a cigarette between his fingers, and said with disdain, "If we don't know each other, that's even better. Saves me the trouble of responsibility." The girl next to him clung to his arm, raising her face shyly. "Agustín, she doesn't know how to appreciate you, but I do. I want to marry you." Agustín didn't respond. He simply gave me a cold, indifferent glance before pulling her into his arms and kissing her again, completely shameless in front of everyone. His friends quickly tried to console me again. "Celestine, he lost his memory. He loved you deeply before. You need to help him regain his memories. Don't throw a tantrum now." I opened my mouth to respond, but suddenly a sharp pain tore through my abdomen. My face went pale. Without another word, I turned and left so quickly that no one had time to react. After I disappeared, I heard them whispering behind me, scolding Agustín for going too far, warning him that if I truly left this time, he might lose me forever. But Agustín simply smiled confidently and sat back down. "She's easy to bring back. 2 years without seeing me, and she still couldn't stay away. Besides, with the amnesia excuse, I can drag this out for as long as I want. When I get bored, I'll pretend to regain my memory. She'll come running back without even asking for an apology." Chapter 2. The Unexpected Savior. As soon as I left the private room, the pain overwhelmed me, and I collapsed to the floor. The cramps came in waves so intense that I couldn't even make it to the bathroom. That's when a familiar shadow loomed over me. A calm, cold voice spoke. "What's wrong? Did he break your heart again? Are you thinking about getting back together with him?" I looked up and saw Sebastián, leaning casually against the doorframe, arms crossed, his eyes sharp and unreadable in the dim light. He was dressed entirely in black, his features perfectly defined, his lips curved in a sharp, clean line. In that moment, all the bottled-up injustice and pain burst free, and tears streamed down my face uncontrollably. Sebastián's expression shifted immediately. He lowered his arms and rushed to my side. "Don't cry. I won't say anything else," he whispered softly as he lifted me off the ground with one strong arm. His cedar scent surrounded me, soft, calming, intoxicating. Instinctively, I wrapped my arms around his neck and murmured, "My stomach hurts." He paused, then walked forward, careful and steady. I nodded weakly, my lips brushing against his chin as my head rested on his shoulder. Sebastian carried me to his car, turned on the heat, and said gently, "Stay here. I'll get you what you need." The soft glow of the streetlights drew his silhouette as he walked away. "Your usual brand isn't here. Are any of these okay?" Before I could respond, a familiar voice interrupted from the background. Agustín had entered the store with the same girl clinging to him. Spotting Sebastian, he smirked. "I invited you out for drinks tonight, and you didn't show up. Turns out you're shopping for some woman instead. Video calling her? Let me see who's got you running around like this." Agustín reached for Sebastian's phone, but Sebastian's cold gaze froze him in place. Agustín laughed awkwardly and stepped back. All right. You really care about her. At least introduce her to us next time." Oh, and by the way, Celestin accidentally walked in on me kissing another girl earlier. I panicked, but luckily my buddy made up the amnesia excuse. I'll let it drag on a bit longer, and when I'm done, I'll pretend to regain my memory. You know, it was thanks to you that I even came up with the idea to fake my death. It's been perfect. The video shook slightly and then cut off. 10 minutes later, Sebastian returned, his expression unreadable. He handed me the items, got into the driver's seat, and locked the doors without a word. Chapter 3. The truth beneath the surface. As we drove, his voice finally broke the silence. "I've ordered red date tea with ginger. It's waiting at my house. Do you want to go there?" His tone was cautious, almost nervous, and it made me laugh softly. Sebastian was the heir of a powerful family in the capital. He was also Agustín's best friend. Back when I used to date Agustín, Sebastian was always around. He treated me coldly, never sparing me a glance, even when others encouraged Agustín and me to show affection. Everyone in their circle thought he hated me. Until the day Agustín supposedly died and I received a video. A video sent by Sebastian. In it, Agustín laughed, saying, "Just thinking about having to spend the rest of my life alone with Celestin after marriage makes me sick. I can't handle it. I'll fake my death and enjoy my freedom for a few more years. Comfort her well. Don't let her go crazy." What I never imagined was that the idea of faking his death wasn't just Agustín's, it was Sebastian's too. He was the one who planted the seed, manipulating everything from the shadows. That man, I realized, truly knew how to control people. Chapter 4. The game behind closed doors. As soon as I stepped into Sebastian's villa, he didn't even give me a chance to react before scooping me up into his arms. After freshening up and settling into bed, he handed me my phone and waited patiently for me to finish my hot drink. Once I was done, he effortlessly slipped off his clothes and lay beside me, his hand moving gently across my stomach with precise, soothing motions. The soft ceiling light cast a thin glow over his sculpted abs, each line inviting my curious gaze. I couldn't resist. My hand wandered across his chest, drawn by instinct. Sebastian's eyes darkened instantly as he caught my wandering hand and whispered, "Behave yourself." But I ignored him. He grabbed the back of my neck and pulled me in without hesitation. After 2 years, we both knew each other's bodies far too well. As the passion built, his hoarse voice whispered again, "Help me." Ever since that drunken night when everything between us began, I had learned that Sebastian's stamina was unmatched. My wrists ached before he finally let go. As he carried me to the bathroom to clean up, his phone left on the bed began to ring. My movement accidentally triggered the answer button. From the speaker came Agustín's voice. "Hey, I was thinking of having an engagement party with Julia to spite Celestin. What do you think? I mean, I'm alive, and she hasn't even come looking for me. She just got angry and jealous and disappeared. She's really changed these past 2 years. I need her to feel the pain of losing me again. I'll plan everything carefully." And you, before he could finish. A soft moan escaped my lips, not because of his words, but because Sebastian's touch had reignited my desire. From the phone, Agustín's voice hesitated. "What's going on, Sebastian? Do you have a woman with you? Is it the same one you were video calling with earlier?" After 2 years apart, even hearing my voice, He couldn't recognize me, unsurprising given how many women had surrounded him during that time. Sebastian didn't respond. His gaze stayed fixed on me, dark with an intensity that made my face flush. I tried to crawl to the other side of the bed, but he grabbed my ankle and effortlessly pulled me back. Agustín continued, "Brother, you have to introduce me to her. I want to meet the woman who finally made you settle down. But now that you've opened yourself to love, you can't keep rejecting the girls I introduced to you. Oh, and one more thing, I was going to ask you to invite Celestine to my engagement party, but I remembered how much you've always hated her." Before Agustín could say another word, Sebastian ended the call with an impatient flick of his hand, tossed the phone aside, wrapped one arm around me, and carried me into the bathroom once again. By the time we returned to bed, 3 hours had passed. Sebastian wore a deeply satisfied expression while I shot him a murderous glare and flopped back onto the bed. I didn't want to speak to him anymore, so I grabbed my phone and checked my messages. One message caught my eye from a friend of Agustín's circle from 2 years ago. "Celestine, Agustín is getting engaged in 7 days. Please talk to him. Once he regains his memory, he'll regret it. This isn't what he truly wants." I stared at the message briefly, deleted it, and tossed my phone aside. I wasn't the kind of person to seek trouble where there was none. Agustín getting engaged? That had nothing to do with me anymore. When Sebastian tried to pull me close again, I shot him another glare and shifted to the far side of the bed. I wasn't about to let another few hours of my strength be drained tonight. Chapter 5. The setup: news that Agustín was alive and getting engaged spread like wildfire. Some people reached out to offer sympathy, others insulted him for being a fool, and plenty came just to watch the drama unfold. Then came a call from Luna, my old college friend. Her voice was filled with rage. "I was so happy when I heard he was alive, but now I find out he's getting engaged to someone else? That's outrageous. He lost his memory and thinks that gives him the right to betray you? You were his fiancée. I can't accept this. I'm going to find out where he's holding the ceremony, and I'm going with you to confront him." I laughed softly. "Luna, if marriages can end, engagements can too. Ours ended 2 years ago. Whatever he's doing now has nothing to do with me." But Luna wouldn't let it go. "I can't stand this, Celestine. You waited for him for 2 years. I saw you stay single the entire time." Nearly choking on my cookie, I corrected her. "Who said I waited? My relationship with Sebastian isn't public yet." Still, Luna kept pushing, trying to convince me to go with her. After several rejections, she sighed in frustration. Fine. Then at least come out with me tonight. It's been ages since we hung out. My treat." With nothing better to do, I agreed. She chose the place. She arrived before me. As I approached the destination, confusion set in. "A hotel? Luna, you said we were going to a bar. Why are we at a hotel?" She avoided my eyes, pulling my arm. "Bars are dangerous at night. If we drink too much, we'll be safer here. We'll grab some food and relax." But the moment the ballroom doors opened, my expression froze. This wasn't just any hotel. It was where Agustín was holding his engagement party. On stage, Agustín was already mid-ceremony, slipping a ring onto the finger of the same girl I had last seen at the bar. The girl looked up at him, shy and blushing. Agustín, however, kept glancing toward the entrance. Our eyes met, and for a brief moment, he froze. Then, as if regaining control, his expression softened into a wide smile. The master of ceremonies continued, "Does the groom agree to be with the bride through every important moment of her life?" Agustín glanced at me one more time, and with a growing grin, said, "Of course." He slid the ring onto Julia's finger. The crowd erupted into applause and shouts of, "One kiss! One kiss!" Julia blushed deeper, stood on tiptoe, and Agustín, shamelessly, wrapped his arm around her waist and kissed her softly, completely indifferent to the fact that I was standing there watching it all unfold. Chapter 6. The trap unfolds. I turned to Luna, who was still avoiding my gaze but whispered excitedly, "Celestine, go up there and take him back. Agustín is yours." I didn't respond. I simply stared at her in silence. Luna and I had met back in university. We took classes together, shared countless meals, and traveled during holidays. I had always considered her a true friend. But tonight, as the doors closed behind us and Augustin's friends blocked the exit, everything became clear. Her intentions were not what I thought. Celestine, Luna said quickly, I only brought you here because I didn't want you to keep suffering. I lied so you could get even. I'm going to go up there right now and cause a scene for you. Without waiting for my reaction, she turned toward the stage. I watched her calmly and spoke softly. Luna, Julia is your cousin, isn't she? She froze instantly. I remembered it from our college days when she talked about her family. Your cousin asked you to bring me here to humiliate me in front of everyone, didn't she? She wanted to create a scene so she could play the victim. Luna stood frozen as if I had hit her with a direct blow. I laughed coldly. That kind of man may be a treasure to your cousin, but not to me. I looked around the ballroom, admiring the perfectly arranged tables, the variety of wines, the soft drinks, and beautifully prepared snacks. They had clearly prepared everything meticulously, expecting me to show up. Since I was already here, I wasn't going to let them have the satisfaction of seeing me break. I found a seat, grabbed a pastry, and began eating slowly, savoring every bite while casually scanning the room. Sebastian was away on business tonight, so he wasn't here. Luna, still furious, stormed over to me and pointed at me angrily. Celestine, what kind of attitude is this? You're bitter because you lost him. My cousin and Agustín love each other. You're just jealous. I burst into laughter just as a female voice interrupted, sobbing. Chapter 7. The engagement ceremony had ended, and before I even realized it, Julia had appeared beside me. As soon as our eyes met, she lunged at me and grabbed both of my hands tightly. Celestine, please don't blame Agustín. He lost his memory. He doesn't remember you. He only loves me. He means no harm. If you're angry, take it out on me. You can hit me, insult me, whatever you want. I'll even kneel if it helps. Just don't blame Agustín. Her nails dug sharply into my wrists, sending stabbing pain up my arms. Reflexively, I shoved her away. I didn't push hard, but she screamed dramatically and fell to the floor as if I had thrown her across the room. Within seconds, someone pushed me hard from behind. Wearing heels, I lost my balance, twisted my ankle, and nearly cried out from the searing pain. Agustín rushed over, eyes wide. Celestine, you've gone too far. Who gave you the right to hurt Julia at our engagement party? Do you think I don't exist? Apologize to her right now. Guests, who had been quietly watching from a distance, now gathered closer like they were watching a live soap opera. Someone muttered, Celestine, your relationship with Agustín is in the past. You're no longer together. Making a scene at his engagement isn't right. You need to let go. Forced love never works. Julia, still clinging to Agustín's chest, wiped her teary eyes and whispered sweetly, Agustín, it's okay. I don't blame Celestine. It's normal for her to feel hurt seeing you with me. It's understandable that she hates me, but I don't hate her. It's not your fault. Agustín nodded. Chapter 8. The calm after the storm in the back seat of Sebastian's car. I carefully took off my heels and placed my injured foot on his lap. His face was serious as he examined the swelling. You weren't supposed to be here, he said quietly. I thought you were on a trip, I replied. I finished early. I saw in the group chat that you showed up at Agustín's engagement party. I knew about that Chata private group where Agustín had been sharing his joyful life for the past 2 years, even while pretending to be dead. I noticed Sebastian's clothes were the same ones he wore earlier that morning during our video call. Normally, he would have changed after landing, but clearly, he had come straight from the airport upon hearing the news. Luna tricked me into going there, I explained. Julia is her cousin. As I spoke, I watched Sebastian quietly take in every word. Even when he remained silent, I could tell his mind was always racing, calculating every possibility. What's done is done, I sighed. My relationship with Agustín ended 2 years ago. I didn't go there to steal anyone's wedding. His expression softened visibly. He didn't say anything more, but he gently squeezed my hand as the car sped through the quiet streets. Sebastian took me to the hospital, where they performed an X-ray. The injury wasn't serious, but it was enough to put me on bed rest for at least a month. While the doctor placed a cast on my foot, Sebastian quietly slipped out to take a phone call in the hallway. Mr. President, his assistant's voice came through the line. We've already canceled all collaborations with Agustín. Some projects are still winding down, but we're moving quickly. Agustín called asking to speak with you. He says you're not answering his calls. There's no need to answer, Sebastian said coldly. Understood, sir. Once the cast was done, Sebastian returned and quietly drove me home. Over the next several days, he stayed by my side, barely leaving the house, ensuring I was never bored or uncomfortable. When the doctor finally approved removing the cast, Sebastian offered to call a specialist to handle it at home. But after a month of being cooped up, I insisted on going to the hospital myself. I needed fresh air, even if just for a little while. Chapter 9. The final blow. When we arrived at the hospital, I felt strong enough to walk, but Sebastian wouldn't allow it. Ignoring my protests, he scooped me up and carried me straight to the doctor's office. Embarrassed by the curious stares from other patients, I buried my face into his chest as we moved through the halls. Meanwhile, not far from us, inside a nearby bar, Agustín sat with his friends, furiously staring at his phone, redialing over and over, getting nothing but silence. His friends surrounded him, exchanging worried glances. Agustín, what's going on? What did you do to make Sebastian cut off all ties like this? This is getting out of hand. Agustín rubbed his temples, completely frustrated. Even he didn't fully understand why Sebastian, after years of solid friendship, would abruptly cut all business dealings and alliances over something like this. Was it because of Celestin? That day at the party, Sebastian had stepped in to take her away, but he'd always acted cold toward her before. Could it really be that now he was upset about it? It made no sense. Sebastian was never petty. Celestin shouldn't have mattered enough to damage their friendship. The more he thought about it, the more uneasy he became. His mind drifted back to the early days of his business, when things were tough and uncertain. Back then, it was always Celestin standing by his side, comforting him, encouraging him, helping him find solutions. Unlike Julia, who now only knew how to whine, tell him to put down his phone, or scold him for drinking too much. Julia had no real opinions, no strength to support him. And suddenly he missed Celestin. At that moment, a message popped up in his friend group. Guys, look what I just saw outside the hospital. Attached was a photo. The picture captured Celestin being carried princess-style in a man's arms at the hospital entrance. Though the rain and crowd blurred most of the man's face, Celestin's profile was unmistakable. Agustín's face stiffened. Seconds later, he let out a sarcastic laugh and smashed his glass on the ground. She's getting bolder now. What is she doing? Did she deliberately find some man to provoke me? Is she trying to make me jealous? Does she think that once I regain my memory, I won't still see her as mine? His friends stayed silent, exchanging glances, none daring to speak. Chapter 10. The rejection. After my hospital visit, I was able to walk on my own again. As I stepped through the doors, my phone buzzed with a message. It was from a number I hadn't seen in 2 years, a number I once could recite even in my sleep. The message read, Celestin, I regained my memory. Sebastian saw it too. His hand instinctively tightened around mine, as if afraid I might run back to Agustín. But with a calm smile, I simply deleted the message and looked at him. Seb, let's get married. On the other side, Agustín leaned back, closing his eyes with a smug grin. He imagined Celestin reading the message, trembling with joy, perhaps even crying, calling him right away, begging to meet. Should he answer on the first call? Or let it ring a few times to teach her a small lesson? He had already decided that even if she called, he'd make her wait just to remind her who was in control. He smiled again as he picked up his phone. The cake he ordered had arrived, her favorite from years ago, ready to celebrate their reunion. But strangely, her call never came. Minutes passed. Then hours. His smile faded. Why hadn't she called? Was she even reading the message? Growing restless, he decided to call her himself. But the system responded. The number is unavailable. A wave of unease crept in. He tried again, and again still the same response. Frustrated, he borrowed a friend's phone and dialed once more. This time, the call connected, and without waiting, he spoke immediately. Celestine, you blocked me. You thought I wouldn't use this number anymore, didn't you? Silly girl. It hurt too much to see it, so you hid it? I'm still using it. Take me off the blacklist. Did you see my message? My memory returned. He smiled confidently, expecting to hear her emotional, tearful voice. But instead, a child's voice answered sweetly, Are you looking for my aunt-in-law? She's picking out her wedding dress right now. Agustín froze. Chapter 11. The wedding dress. I never expected Sebastián to move so quickly after I proposed. I had barely whispered my desire to marry him when he immediately took me to a bridal boutique. We began designing a custom dress, while his family busily organized the banquet, invitations, and our new home. As I finished my measurements, little Alicia, who had been playing nearby, answered my phone accidentally. Aunt-in-law, sorry. Someone called, and I picked it up by accident. She handed me the phone innocently. I glanced at the screen unknown number. From the other side came Agustín's furious, trembling voice. Celestine, this is too much. I calmly ended the call, gently patted Alicia's head and smiled. It's okay. Go back to playing. Chapter 12. The collapse. Agustín never imagined that when someone finally answered his call, it would be a child referring to Celestine as aunt-in-law. He refused to accept it. Convinced that she was deliberately playing games with him, that she'd coached some little girl to torment him, he rubbed his temples hard. When I see her again, I'll punish her. I'll put her over my knee and spank her until she learns to behave. He was losing control, his thoughts growing darker. Deciding not to call again, he told himself Celestine needed to realize that he too could get angry. That she couldn't just toy with him without consequence. He called his friends out for drinks, but the mood was strange. None of them spoke, none raised their glasses. The air was tense, suffocating. Sensing their hesitation, Agustín laughed awkwardly, trying to lighten the mood. Come on, what's wrong with you guys? Why aren't you drinking? It's fine, really. She's just playing hard to get. He thought they were simply worried about him, worried he might spiral. He had no idea that his friends were quietly watching the final unraveling of a man who had already lost everything. Chapter 13. The end of one story, the beginning of another. Agustín, in his arrogance, still believed that silence would drive me back to him. He thought that once I didn't answer, I would break down and eventually call him, begging for forgiveness. With this false confidence, he lifted his glass and downed it in one gulp, his friends watching him with increasingly uncomfortable expressions. Finally, one of them slid his phone toward him. Sebastián sent his wedding invitation, he said quietly. Agustín's drunken smile froze as he looked at the screen. The card was extravagant, perfectly designed, announcing the grand wedding of Sebastián and Celestine. 15 days. That was all the time left. The days leading up to the wedding were a whirlwind of preparations, each moment busy with decisions, fittings, and final touches. When I first proposed to Sebastián, I did it to give him certainty because I knew, deep down, he had always wondered if I would truly stay. But even I hadn't expected how quickly he would act once he saw that door open. On the wedding day, the venue was filled with guests, many familiar faces from both Sebastián's and Agustín's circles. Friends with champagne glasses approached to congratulate us. Among the crowd, I spotted Agustín, standing stiffly, his bloodshot eyes locked on me. His hand clenched so tightly around his glass that it shattered, crimson streaks of blood dripping from his fingers. I frowned at the sight. Agustín caught my eye, lowering his head slightly and glancing at his wound, wearing an exaggerated expression of pain, as if waiting for me to rush to his side. But I didn't blink. What bad luck, I commented coldly, turning away without the slightest pause. His face drained of color, and within moments, security escorted him from the venue. Chapter 14. The confrontation. The wedding ended 2 hours later. Exhausted but content, Sebastian and I returned home, only to find someone waiting at the front door. Agustín. He had clearly been standing there for a long time. As soon as he saw me, he lunged forward to grab my hand, but Sebastian blocked him with a single kick that sent him sprawling onto the ground. Agustín struggled back to his feet, eyes burning with hatred and betrayal. Sebastian, you're a monster. Celestin was mine. How dare you steal her from me? I trusted you like a brother, and this is how you repay me? His voice cracked as he hurled insult after insult, each one more desperate than the last. Sebastian's face darkened, ready to summon the guards, but I gently placed my hand on his arm, stopping him. I stepped forward, and a flicker of hope flashed in Agustín's eyes. He barely whispered my name, Celestin, but before he could say more, I slapped him the same slap he had deserved since the night of his engagement party, when he dared to push me aside. Agustín, we ended 2 years ago, I said sharply. I love Sebastian now. If you ever lay a hand on him again, I won't just stand by. Apologize to him. The words stunned him. They were the same ones he had once coldly thrown at me. It took him a moment to realize it, and when he did, his mouth fell open, trembling. I was suffering from amnesia. I didn't mean any of it. I've recovered my memory, Celestin. I've kicked Julia out. It's you I truly love. He tried his best to sound sincere, but the performance was pitiful. I was tired of his lies. Without another word, I took out my phone and pressed play on the recording. His own voice, crystal clear. Just thinking that after marriage I'd be stuck with Celestin, I can't stand it. I'll fake my death and have some fun for a few years. Take care of her. She might lose her mind. As the recording played, Agustín's face drained of all color. He shook his head violently, stammering, "That's fake. Someone must have edited it." I let out a cold laugh. "Agustín, do you think I'm a fool?" His knees nearly buckled as he took a step back, lips quivering. You knew all along? You knew 2 years ago." I didn't answer. I simply turned to leave, but he grabbed my wrist desperately. "Celestin, if you knew, why didn't you say anything? If you had told me, I would have fixed everything. None of this would have happened." Disgusted by the absurdity of his words, I yanked my hand free. Sebastian, seeing him touch me again, didn't hesitate to kick him hard once more, sending him crashing to the ground. Agustín clutched his stomach, gasping, and screamed, "He's the one who told me to fake my death. It was Sebastian's idea. If it weren't for him, you and I would already be married. Don't let him fool you. He's a manipulator." I felt Sebastian's fingers tighten gently around mine. I had known this truth for some time, but it never mattered to me. Yes, his move had been calculated, maybe even cruel in some ways. But all of it had stemmed from one undeniable thing: his love for me. I held Sebastian's hand firmly and pulled him inside. With a nod, he signaled his men to remove Agustín once and for all. Chapter 15. The true end. I didn't hear from Agustín again until 3 months later, when the news arrived. This time it was real. He had died in a car accident, drunk behind the wheel. The final chapter of his self-destruction. Soon after, I received a flood of hateful messages from Luna, filled with vicious insults. "Celestin, damn you. Do you know how Agustín lived these last months? Drinking, fighting, destroying himself because of you. You broke his heart, and now he's dead. This is your fault." I didn't bother reading the rest. Instead, I handed the phone to Sebastian's lawyer. He took care of everything, filing charges against her. Luna was arrested and left with a permanent criminal record. I didn't worry about any of it. I was far too busy planning my honeymoon with Sebastian. Epilogue. The hidden love. Many people later asked Sebastian, "When did you first fall for Celestin?" His answer never changed. At university, we attended the same faculty. I used to believe love at first sight was just foolish talk until it happened to me. Before I could confess, I left abroad to work on a project. When I returned, I saw her again at a dinner with friends. She stood next to Agustín, smiling warmly, introducing herself. "Hello, everyone. I'm Agustín's girlfriend. My name is Celestine." In that moment, my heart sank. I realized my feelings but knew I couldn't interfere. They were already engaged, and she truly loved him. So I stayed silent. I tortured myself for a whole year, crashing every gathering she attended, just to see her even if it hurt. Then the night before their wedding, during Agustín's bachelor party, I heard him laugh and say he wasn't done playing yet. And right then I knew that was my chance. And so, that was the story of Celestine, Sebastián, and Agustín, a tale of betrayal, heartbreak, resilience, and finally, true love found in the most unexpected way. Sometimes, fate works in strange ways, leading us through pain so we can find the person who truly cherishes us. If you enjoyed this emotional journey and the twists of love and destiny, don't forget to give this video a like, share it with your friends, and most importantly, subscribe to Universe of Love and Anime for more stories like this. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue bringing you even more captivating love stories inspired by the world of anime and beyond. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, true love always finds a way.